you're in for a treat. This is our first episode. We're going to call it the pilot episode. So you're going to see this plane launch right off the tarmac. So we're going to kick this first episode off by talking about 5 things that we hear often, or at least I hear often in the gym. Not necessarily the top 5, but just 5 things that came to mind that I wanted to cover starting in 2025. Maybe this should help you kick off your health and fitness goals. Anyway, this is the Fit Couch, where we talk about all things health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition. And let's get into it. So, Junior, one of the things that people talk to me a lot about is, like, I get asked, so what's the best training split? Should I do push-pull legs, or should I do the bro split one time a week? Should I train full body every day? Like, have you heard anything like that?
For me, it's like generally probably just kind of asking what it is in general. Like, they may not know exactly what specific one. They just kind of ask just a broad question for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what the best training split is, and I'll give you my opinion, and I think it depends. It depends on what you can consistently show up to, what you're going to consistently be able to train hard doing, and what you're going to be able to continue to recover for your next training session. So the bro split, if for anyone who doesn't know, that's kind of like doing one body part per week.
Yeah.
Like chest on Monday, legs on Tuesday. And I guess, and that's fine and everything, but you're only training your chest 4 times a month, right? So I would say that the best split is whatever split allows you to train each body part 2, maybe 3 times a week with enough weekly volume to make progress.
100%. I would think so. For trying to spread it apart, you're not doing 2 hours maybe of working out of just one body part, which is a lot. So
yeah, because I mean, you could in theory do one body part a week, but if you're trying to get, say, 15 sets in a week in one session, I mean, your first 8 or 9 sets are going to be good, but everything after that's you're not going to be able to put the same amount of effort. So I would say that if you were going to change, say, we'll just use chest in this example. If you're going to train chest on Monday, rather than doing 15 sets for chest on Monday, you'd probably be better doing like 7 or 8, and then doing another 7 or 8 on Thursday. So you still accumulate the same weekly amount of sets, but you're going to be able to attack those sets with a lot more vigor, because I mean, you don't need a week to recover from training. I mean, I think some of these guys, like maybe the top huge open IFBB pros, they have so much muscle, maybe the recovery takes that long. But I think for most people, training every body part 2, maybe even 3 times a week tends to be ideal. So when I get this question, and when I get most questions, the answer is generally, it's not a sexy answer. It's like, it depends, right? It depends on a lot of variables. Like, are you able to recover? How many weekly sets are you doing? How many weekly training sessions are you doing? If you miss a day, are you screwed and now you're not training chest but 3 times in a month? I don't know. The bro split, it's kind of like you're going to make progress as long as you're consistent. But I would say find something where you can train everything twice a week. I mean, push-pull legs is great. It could be random. It could be quads and biceps. It could be shoulders and back. I mean, the parameters I would suggest, and this is just for me, is be able to train hard, train harder than you did the time before, and give yourself enough recovery so that you can attack that next session feeling fresh.
100%.
Right? Have you found that kind of works for you too?
I'd say so with myself. 100%.
Yeah. So again, like, I guess there's some nuance to that. If you're going to train like legs and back on the same day, I don't know, it would work and you could. But if you're going hard on squats or hard on leg exercises, I think you'd be hard pressed to really put some good effort into bent over rows, right? Your lower back's already taxed from all the squatting. And then now you're going to bent over rows. You might be approaching that with your lower back being the limiting factor for that exercise. So you might want to be a little strategic with that. But I mean, realistically, I don't think that there's a problem with, I think we get into the weeds too much with that. And the bigger picture is train hard, train consistently, get good sleep, get good nutrition, and that's going to be 99% of the pie. And then we're just kind of splitting hairs on some of that other stuff.
I think another thing that's main is you're able to come back and feel like you do want to train, right? Because I think that's a big
absolutely
big piece to there right there. If
absolutely.
Training, sure, maybe the first month it's a new workout, new split. You're kind of excited, but maybe after that, you're probably going to wear down slowly and diminish with like how well the actual training is. It's not fluff work or something like that.
Yeah. No, actually, that's a good point. Like
on paper, it might look good, but once it's, after a long period of time actually doing that split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Actually, I don't think a lot of people talk about that enough. Is the mental fatigue or the staleness. Like an exercise gets boring and you're not like excited about it anymore, or you're not excited about your training split. It might be time to kind of mix things up. Yeah. Not because there's something magical about changing up your workouts. Like, I don't know if you remember, muscle confusion used to be like this big thing. I
saw it like a meme or something like that. Was it Arnold?
It used to be a thing that we all believed in.
Yeah.
It was like dogma for a while. Like, you have to change up your workouts. No, I mean, if you can get big, you can get gains, you can make a lot of progress with doing the same 5 to 7 exercises every day for years and years and years. Yeah. And you might want to change like maybe the reps and the tempo or things like that. But
for sure,
I don't think changing up your workouts is scientifically proven to be like something magical about it. But I think there is something about approaching an exercise and just not being enthused about it anymore, and you're kind of like burned out on that exercise. Well, maybe rotate something else in, and then maybe we can come back to that later.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, sometimes I do think if there's like certain exercises, like for me, myself, like I feel it very well, I do tend to want to kind of stay with that longer than most other exercises,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, just naturally I just want to stick to that one.
Yeah, and that's what I would say is like if you're still seeing progress
and feeling it there too.
Yeah, if you're feeling great tension, you're seeing progress, you're still able to get like some semblance of like some relative soreness every once in a while, or you're being able to progress with your reps or your weight, then I wouldn't fix it. It ain't broken,
honestly.
It's not broken, so maybe don't fix it.
Yeah, 100%.
But if you're going to tell me we're going to do like 5 sets of squats and then go do 5 sets of pull-ups, I don't know. I can't help but think that maybe my pull-up sets might be a little bit impeded from all that heavy squatting, because I'll be like my energy bar, like in a video game, kind of like wears down. The squats kind of tax you, you know? So
sure. I don't know. I think pull-ups is kind of arguably like the squats for a pull day,
Yeah.
I say so. Or at least it's like the first thing you do want to probably attack on.
Yeah, you might want to approach those exercises first in your training sessions.
Yeah.
Where you're going to require the most amount of energy and mental energy, not just physical. But you got to be excited about it too, right?
Yeah.
So the whole split thing. The only thing I'm saying we're doing with talking about the splits is we're splitting hairs. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like show up, train hard, eat, sleep, repeat. Yeah. If you can do that, you're going to make a lot of the progress. Some of the other stuff, you got to kind of listen to your body and like, hey, if any of those metrics aren't being met, if I'm not able to add reps, I'm not able to add weight, if I'm not seeing any strength increase at all, okay, well then maybe it might be time to like mix things up, or to think about how we order our exercises so that we can prioritize body parts that maybe we want to, or we can get back into that mind-muscle connection and not feeling so disconnected from what we're doing, and then just go through the motions.
Yeah. Another thing, though, that coming off the top of the head was also, if I hear a few guys where they say they feel it in their shoulders with certain exercises, and you just keep doing it. It's like, and maybe once you start feeling your joints even, or tendons even, you start feeling like it's aching at a certain point, you should probably change it as well. But I know a lot of guys, at least for me, they just keep pushing through it,
Yeah, that's so that's kind of like, that's a good point. It's off the kind of off the top. We're weaving off the split thing, but it leads into a really good conversation actually about like exercise selection. It's like, okay, well, everyone talks about doing bench press, right? So I got to do bench press, and you keep bench press in your routine. But I mean, if your goal is to get big or to gain muscle for some hypertrophy, if you're feeling the tension in your shoulder joints or your elbows or your triceps, I don't know, then maybe the bench press isn't like the best exercise for you. Maybe you might want to try something else. Yeah. I mean, I would say that you want to feel a good tension in the target muscle. You want to feel some soreness in the target muscle, and your joints shouldn't be hurting, right? So that's a perfect example is bench press. Like, I like dumbbells, I like incline, I like cables. But when it comes to flat barbell press, I just can't really get connected with my chest on that exercise. So now in my life, I've realized I can put my ego away. I don't need to like talk about how much I can bench. trashed that exercise. And when I started implementing other things that actually felt better for my body, I started to see better progress.
100%. But I've had someone who I worked with actually like the bench press, so it kind of like circles back to what you're saying. Like if it feels good for you, right?
Yeah.
You're feeling the chest, then it's also...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people get great chest pumps from the bench press.
Yeah.
And some people, they don't, but they don't care. They just like bench pressing.
That's true.
And I mean, there's something to be said for that. If it keeps you excited about showing up, bro, have at it.
Yeah.
If it's going to get you to show up and train and you like the bench press and maybe it's not, well, you just have to know, well, okay, maybe this isn't the best for like my goals, but it's getting me in the gym and I'm excited about it and it's fueling like my next sets after this, or whatever exercise you choose after that. I think probably a good idea. But yeah, I think basically how I understand the science right now is as long as volume's equated over the week, there's really not a difference in how often you train your muscle. That's what the science says, but I feel like there's definitely nuance to that, because if you are only training a muscle one time a week and you're trying to fit in that weekly volume in one training session, all those sets after a certain point are going to kind of, your intensity is going to start dropping off, and then you're not really getting as much out of it as you could if you would have split that into a couple sessions.
Which would be kind of called fluff work, right?
Yeah, like you can call it junk volume or fluff work, or I mean, it's probably not non-productive, but it wouldn't be as productive as just saving those second half of sets for your second training day.
I mean, it just makes sense if you just think about it itself too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Spring in 3,
Yeah.
Get those multiple, times of working on the chest. I guess we're circling back to the chest again, instead of just one day.
Yeah.
Very first exercise, you're getting a lot of stimulus, but if you were to do that with 3 separate days, I mean, I don't know, it makes sense to me just by thinking about it.
It does, and I think your central nervous system will recover better from like less daily volume and changing the muscle group, like maybe getting more muscle groups in one day, and instead of doing one muscle group, you do 2 or 3 in a day. But you do that over 2 or 3 days in the week. I like training everything twice a week. That's like my preference. But I think again, it's what will fit into your schedule, what will fit into your time, what will fit into, like, what can you manage to show up for and commit to, and get more reps, get more weight, add more sets.
Yeah.
If you can continue doing those 3 things, then I think you're on a good track.
Yeah.
And you're probably, if you're not making gains, it's probably something you're doing outside the gym, or not doing outside the gym, that's holding you back.
Yeah, that pops up with the dieting. That reminds me of the dieting.
Oh my God.
That's a really common one from what you were saying.
It is.
Where they say they eat. It's like, I eat 3,000 calories. And it's just like, really? Like,
yeah, every day?
Do you have a scale?
Yeah.
Do you have MyFitnessPal or whatever?
Are you logging it? Like,
yeah.
And even if you are, like, are you eating that? Like, oh, I eat tons of food. I'm not growing. Okay, well, how much food is tons of food to you? Like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
And when you actually start logging it, sometimes what I see is like, there's days where you eat 5,000 calories on a Saturday, and then on Tuesday you ate 1,500, and on Wednesday you ate 2,300, and then Friday 4,000, and then Saturday, the next Saturday, 1,200, and then like your weekly calories aren't where you think they are,
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with weight loss too. Oh, I'm sticking to 1,500 calories, and then you look at like the course of 2 weeks, and they have a few days that are like 5,000, and you realize, hey, that your average just changed, from that one day you ate like a total butthole,
Yeah. So, and it puts a lot of stress on the body too, I think, as well. You're probably not digesting very well if you're just
eating random.
One. Yeah, exactly. You're not. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of being a little bit tedious and specific with certain things, but I don't know.
But I think that's a good point, because if you're eating like foods that aren't digesting very well, they're not going to clear out of your stomach very quick, which means you're not going to be able to consume another meal. Your hunger cues are going to go down, and if you're really trying to put on muscle and you're trying to add calories and make sure those calories are going to building muscle, I mean, having food that's easy to digest, it's nicer, not just for health reasons aside, we can get into that, but just for pure aesthetic reasons, if you're trying your fitness goals, you're just not going to be able to consume enough food, quality food, if you're just eating like tons of pizza and cheese. It's funny, we just had pizza before. So that might ruin my food for the rest of the day. But generally, I would say, low processed food or like just whole foods. And primarily that. I mean,
I don't know.
But as far as the body part split thing goes, it was one of these things that 20 years ago everyone said, this is the best split. This is the best split. And then, if nowadays in 2025, if your trainer's saying, oh, I have the best split, this is the best split for you, I would say run away from that trainer. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because the best split for you is the one that allows you to continue to get stronger, get more reps, recover from, and train hard again the next session.
Yeah. I think another one as well is time. Like, can't be 3 hours long, right? At least for the general population, I would think, you probably have a 9 to 5, and you have kids on top of that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, come on, let's be realistic with that as well.
Exactly, that is a good point, because
it's like on paper, it looks great, but
totally.
It's like if you have kids. I don't have kids, but
that's actually perfect segue into one of the other things that I was going to talk about is like what's the best diet, and it's like you talk to some of these dietitians, or you can get these diet programs that in the early days of training, we used to have like software, and we still do. But this used to be the way to do it. Is there's a software that's like licensed through dietitians, and they build these like meal plans, and you would just pick the calories for your client, and it's a algorithm would like create a meal plan for them.
Okay.
And like on paper, it's like, oh yeah, this is a perfect, well balanced meal plan. It has you're not going to be deficient in anything. Okay, but adherence is the key. So are they going to adhere to this diet? Is it foods that take way too long to prep? Is it foods that they're not really that excited about eating? Is it we don't want to be deficient in things, but we've got to be flexible and find a diet that you're actually going to stick to? Because this is really frustrating. This is one of the frustrating things about working in the fitness world is, hey, I'm on keto, or hey, I'm intermittent fasting, or what do you think about intermittent fasting, or what do you think about keto, or what do you think about this diet, or what do you think about that diet? And it's like, I mean, what's your opinion before I give mine? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think you should just let them kind of figure out themselves, maybe. I mean, I've done it myself. I've even told you before in the past, maybe a few years ago, where I did the keto, and you did, I think since we worked together, you kind of gave me more of an honest response. So I kind of learned it from experience with like keto. So, I mean, if it works for you and you see yourself being able to do it for the rest of your life, then of course, do it.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
But I mean, how many times have you like talked to someone and they stuck to that diet?
Exactly, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, if you'll stick to the diet and you're not getting deficient, you're getting everything you need, and it's something that you're going to stick to long term, then I say go for it. If that's keto for you, go ahead. I think a lot of people who jump on the keto bandwagon aren't able to stick to it long term, and then they get this like self-hatred or loathing when they eat a carb, and it's like, look, the carbs aren't making you fat. It's eating too many calories, more than you're burning. That's what makes you fat. Doesn't matter if it's coming from carbs or fats. And now, there might be some satiety things with eating more fats and proteins, right, and less carbs that might help calm down the hunger cues, which could be a benefit. But there's nothing magical about keto that just somehow, because you're not eating carbs, you're going to be losing all this body fat. So I mean, really, it's what will work best for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other thing, the intermittent fasting. It's like, what do you think about intermittent fasting? I don't know. I go to bed and I don't eat when I sleep. I guess that's considered fasting, right? I mean, again, there's nothing magical about intermittent fasting in itself. It's just another form of calorie restriction. So whether you're logging your food and sticking to a calorie goal you have, or you're just shortening your eating window, both of those are just ways of restricting calories. And if intermittent fasting works for you, great. I don't like to go into a training session without food in my body, so that wouldn't be good for me unless I fasted, I guess, at a different time of day. But that doesn't sound very appealing to me, very exciting to me. But for other people, it works great, and it's a way that helps them restrict their calories. But at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. Your body burns a certain amount of calories, and if you eat more than your body needs, it's going to store it. If you eat less than your body needs, it has to pull from stored fat or muscle, some sort of tissue, to use as energy. So how you get into that calorie deficit if you're trying to lose weight, or how you get into that calorie surplus, really doesn't matter. It's what works for you, your lifestyle, what will you stick with. Right?
Yeah.
What other diets have you heard recently that people have been doing?
I mean, the carnivore was a.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
carnivore
that's
is a
right.
big one.
That is a big one.
Well, it's
yeah.
not as popular as maybe a year ago. Maybe
Yeah.
once I don't know if we name drop, but Liver King got cut or something like that.
Liver King.
Maybe something like
Liver
that.
King, fake natties.
I don't know.
The Olympia fake natty.
I know. I was heartbroken. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no. I don't know who didn't know that guy was on steroids. That guy is not natural. I don't know. That was no surprise to me. I'm thinking, come on, who actually thought this guy was natural?
Yeah.
But the carnivore, I mean, here's the thing. We know protein's satiating. It keeps you full. And it's very hard to store protein as body fat. So if you're eating a carnivore diet, you're eating a lot of fats, you're eating a lot of protein. You're basically eating a keto diet minus the vegetables, right? But why? Why not eat some vegetables?
Yeah.
Why eliminate? And this is just me, and this is me speaking on all my experience. I'm not a big fan of eliminating food groups. I think we have all the food groups have benefit for us, and there's vegetables have great antioxidant properties and fiber, and which is another thing that helps us when we're dieting. Fruits, we've got dairy. If you don't have a dairy allergy, then you should be fine eating dairy. There was we're going to be gluten-free kick for a while, and it's like, okay, why? Do you have celiac disease? I mean, if you don't, I don't really understand why eliminating gluten is necessary, unless it just you don't like it or you want to not eat it. That's fine. But when it comes to dieting for weight loss, at the end of the day, calories in, calories out. Figure out how many of your calories your body's burning, and if you want to lose weight, you have to consistently eat less than that.
I mean, the protein as well, of course, if you want to keep the muscle as much as possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
hitting your protein
but in
goal,
general, like you said.
Definitely want to make sure you're hitting your protein goal. And the vegan, that's another one that's real popular too.
You just kind of recently made a plan for that, right?
Yes. I built a plan for someone. They're not vegan. They just don't eat meat.
Oh, okay.
But they'll eat eggs and fish. So
okay.
I guess that's like pescatarian, I think.
Something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a they don't eat meat. But we were able to, lentils, we got a lot of protein in there with that. We got eggs, egg whites. That was fine. It was just like actual meat.
Yeah. You're able
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And she's able to get enough protein from that for sure. I mean, if you eliminate all animal products, it definitely becomes trickier, but it's totally doable. You can get enough protein eating a vegan diet, but you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And just saying, "Oh, I'm going vegan." Well, I mean, Oreos are vegan. I mean,
of course.
There's a lot of junk food that's not from animals. So just because you're vegan doesn't really mean that you're moving towards better health markers. You have to be eating. I think that's probably why they call it plant-based, to eliminate some of that stuff. It's like plant-based, which is fine. I mean, I don't know. I like my steak.
But is the burgers, is that really healthy for you? The plant-based burgers?
Oh, I don't know. I actually have a story about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try it. I bought the Beyond. I can't remember if it was Beyond or Impossible, or I don't know. It was one of those brands. I shouldn't name drop anyway if I do remember. It was one of those fake meat brands.
Yeah.
And the macros look good. I was like, oh, cool. It's got a lot of protein. It looked good. They color it and make it look fancy on the box, so it looks kind of similar. Well, and I don't know if anyone else has had this experience, but I did it like ground turkey. I just ground it with some taco seasoning on the stove, and when I ate that, it destroyed my stomach.
Yeah.
I was in the bathroom the whole rest of the day. My stomach, I lost everything inside of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nasty, and it was
a war in there.
And it smelled, and it didn't taste that bad, but it smelled like cat food.
Ooh.
Yeah, it just, something about it wasn't right. It tasted all right because I seasoned it with some taco seasoning. You can't make anything taste bad with taco seasoning. But, it tore up my stomach. So I don't know what's in there. I don't know what they do, what the processing is, but whatever it was, it did not agree with me.
Yeah.
When I eat a steak or a good cut of ground beef, I feel great. So.
I mean, that's how I feel. I've never done the vegan products or anything, but when I eat really processed foods, it actually messes with my stomach. I think it's because I've just been sticking with whole foods in general.
Yeah.
Which circles back kind of to the healthy foods and things like that, like the processed foods and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and Processed foods, they do get a bad. I mean, there's certain foods that are very highly processed.
Yeah.
And then there's foods that, I mean, a lot of foods go through a process. So like protein powder is technically processed.
Yeah.
But no one's really making the argument that protein powder is bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like Greek yogurt or non-fat Greek yogurt. It goes through some sort of process. It's not bad for you, but generally, those highly processed, highly palatable foods like kids cereal and candies and chips and all that stuff.
All the tasty stuff.
Yeah, all the real tasty stuff that once you start eating, you can't stop. Or it's very easy to eat 500 calories in 5 minutes of chips and feel no satiation at all.
You know, the crazy one is the thin Oreos, where it makes you think that you're, maybe 2 or something like that. You know, the thin Oreos?
Dangerous.
Yeah.
So dangerous.
I never had them before, but then I saw a video and it talked about it. It was like, it's actually like the same calories when they kind of like break it down with you. Same thing with what you said earlier with like the butter spray,
Oh, yeah.
Same thing, kind of same type of scheme, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I know. They make it super smaller and say it's smaller calories. Well, yeah, the damn cookies freaking looks like it's been on meth for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's got no life to it.
Yeah.
And then, the oil spray, of course, there's the oil. It's like, 0 calories per, 100 millionth second of a spray.
Yeah,
it's like, well, who the hell's... like not even that. You can't.
You got.
I think the serving size. I think the serving size is less than a human finger can actually move.
Oh damn.
I don't know, but I definitely that's oil's oil. It has 9 calories per gram. Don't let it fool you. There's not 0 calories in your spray.
Yeah.
It's 9 calories per gram. But
no.
So to wrap that up, anyone who's questioning what diet they should follow, my suggestion would be: eat from all food groups, get enough protein, and make sure you're eating the right amount of calories for your goal. That's what matters. How you do that, you can play around with. If it's easier for you to just do keto and you like it and that's something you'll stick with, I say then do it. I mean, that's. But for most people, especially people who have a hard time with dieting, they usually have a hard time with that type of discipline with the food.
Yeah.
And trying to do these really restrictive diets asks for a lot of discipline, and that's going to run out. Your motivation for that will burn out, and you're going to go back to eating other foods. So why don't you just incorporate those other foods in your diet anyway?
Yeah. I think it's too good to be true for him, because that's what it kind of felt like for me. So whenever I thought about dieting, earlier in my life, I thought you kind of had to suffer. And that's when you're dieting.
Yeah,
maybe
that's true.
I mean, same thing for just whatever fits your calories.
Yeah.
Down the line, but not in the beginning, right? But that's what I thought, and I think that's a lot of people in general kind of think of too. It's like they should be kind of suffering, or it shouldn't be that easy. It sounds too good to be true, like I said.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I think there's definitely a lot of people who feel that way, or they want the results so fast.
That's true.
And it's like, look, if you're losing 1 pound a week, or a 0.5% or 1% of your body weight a week, that's good. If you're losing 1% of your body weight a week, that's really good. That's a great pace to lose weight. That means you're losing maybe 4-6 pounds a month. People want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. I'm like, if you're really, really overweight, it's a little easier. But if you're 50 pounds overweight and you think you're going to take 30 pounds off in 3 months, I'm telling you, it's going to be 3 months of suffering, followed by 3 months of binging and rebounding. I've never seen it work out any other way. So slow and steady wins the race, for sure. Keep training, keep your protein high, and just eat whole foods, prioritizing protein and fiber. And for the most part, it'll all work itself out. But find out how many calories you need. Get enough protein. I say eat 1 gram per pound of body weight. You could probably get away with a little less than that, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. But somewhere between 0.8 and 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight is a great place to be. If you can hit that and then get the rest of your nutrients from other sources, healthy fats, and maybe some good carbohydrates, especially if your training's really intense, I would suggest a little bit higher carbohydrates. But how you hit those other macros between your carbs and your fats is really up to you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I go on just scratching the surface. I'm sure we'll get into more of that on another time. We'll probably dive deeper into that. But for now, I think
keep it simple.
Yeah. That's the brief overview. If you're just dipping your toes in the water, or you're coming back from a hiatus of not training, let's just find out how much protein you need to eat and just eat that. Let's start there. In a couple of weeks, then we'll worry about the rest. But when you do, there is something that funny about that. When you eat your body weight in grams of protein, it becomes hard to over consume calories from other foods because you're so full from eating this protein, especially if you have some vegetables with it.
And you're not used to eating that at all.
Yeah, it's like, man, you're not hungry enough to consume more junk calories.
And if it's not for like 4 scoops of protein, it's
like
actual whole foods,
Yeah, exactly. If you're getting your body weight in grams just from whey shakes, probably not going to add much satiety,
Yeah.
That's another good point. When you're dieting, or when I was dieting for that show, whey protein shakes, I didn't like them. I didn't like drinking them because I wanted to eat food. Because I was so this is more extreme, right? But when you get that lean, I wanted to eat whatever calories I had to consume. I'd rather chew them and eat them. So
the longer you chew, the better.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, screw 2 scoops of whey protein. I'm doing 2 cups of egg whites.
Yeah.
And I would rather eat that and put a little bit of ketchup on top or something than have 2 scoops of protein. I drink it down and I'm like, okay, well, what the hell? I'm still hungry,
Yeah.
So if you're trying to lose weight, that's a good point. I would say do your best to get your protein from food sources. That doesn't mean that whey protein is not good or it's bad. It's just, if you're trying to lose weight, everyone's different, but if you struggle if you struggle with hunger, if you're short of time, that's a good thing, good time to use the whey. Like, supplement it when you need it, but I wouldn't base your diet around it. If you can avoid it, try to eat whole foods. If you can reach your body weight in grams of protein with whole foods, it's going to be very hard to continue over consuming other calories. Which actually, that leads into something else that I had on the list, which was supplements. Do they work?
Do they?
That's a pretty broad question.
It is a really broad.
Do they work? Well, I mean, let's unpack this a little bit, right? So, let's see, what kind of supplements have you used that you see progress with?
Progress. Okay, so
or that you've noticed that you really can tell. No placebo. I noticed that this really works.
I mean, creatine, of course. Creatine monohydrate. Whey protein. I guess that's, I don't know. I believe that's most of them. At least that's the ones that I've been recently using.
Yeah. So, protein. Is it a supplement? Is it food? I don't know. You could kind of classify it more as a food than a supplement. I don't know if I would. It gets put in the supplement category because it is a way to supplement your protein, but it is food. So, but let's, for the argument's sake, call that supplements, because I think that's what most people would see that as a supplement. And I would say, if you have a hard time hitting your protein goal eating it, or you're in a rush, or you need, want to mix some whey in with your Greek yogurt to add some protein, or whatever you want to do, I would say your number one protein or supplement for your fitness goals would probably be protein. With a disclaimer.
Yeah.
That disclaimer is that you're getting enough micronutrients from your food, and if you're not, then I would say your best supplement would be like a really quality greens powder, or there's the all-in-one from Dot Fit that I use that one, and I trust that one. I think that's a great product. But if you can get a good quality greens powder, or like a good multivitamin that's been third-party tested, then I would suggest that first, because if you're not getting the right micronutrients from your food, let's start there. But let's just,
for deficit.
Yeah, just in general, for anyone, like supplements in general.
Yeah.
Then I would worry about if you want to add some protein, protein supplement like a whey protein for your fitness goals, that's great. I don't know which one would be more important, really. I would say you don't want to be deficient in vitamins, so make sure, let's just say that we'll just assume that this individual is not deficient in vitamins, then I would say the top supplement to have around would be whey protein. Even though I just said I like to chew my protein and not drink it, it's still a valuable tool that we know works. That's the biggest part of this, is the nutrition part. So if you have the nutrition part covered, you have the training covered, and you're getting good sleep, like you've got the biggest piece of the pie completed. So whey protein, and then you mentioned creatine. Yeah, creatine is something that I've taken on and off throughout my life, and I don't really know if I notice like a significant difference, but maybe I'm like looking for more than it's supposed to be giving me. The reality is, though, it is the most researched fitness supplement around, and there's a lot of data on it, and it's a lot of good data. So I take it because it's cheap, and why not? Because it's not expensive, and there is a lot of good research on it. So I do take it now, but I don't know how much. It's not like people think, well, at least what we used to think. I don't know. When I was younger and we first started training, it was like, oh, dude, that guy's on creatine. Like it was like steroids. Like now, that's what it was back in like 99, 2000. Now it's everyone's on trend. They're all on trend. Like the trend twins. Like back then, it was like, damn, I'm doing a cycle of creatine. You know, and then people would say, you better cycle off that. You could mess your kidneys up.
Not for too long.
Yeah. So now we know that all that stuff's not true. Anyone can take creatine. It's safe. It's safe for all ages. It's safe for all people, and it's cheap. It's a very, compared to other supplements, it's very cheap. But yeah, so when people ask me that, I say it's always safe to have protein. I would say you should probably have a good whey protein on hand, and creatine is probably a good idea too. The other supplement that I would say is I don't know if this would be a supplement, but we'll call this a supplement because it's in a lot of supplements. Is caffeine.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, we all like caffeine, right? Like, if you want to push through a harder workout, or maybe you have some lulls in your energy, depending on or you're training in the morning. I don't know what that looks like, but caffeine is definitely proven to enhance performance. So, caffeine, creatine, some protein, all the teen, this teen, that teen. Yeah, it's probably the best stuff. Granted that you're getting enough micronutrients through your diet, and if you're not, then I would suggest supplementing with a third-party test. I'm going to keep saying that. Third-party tested vitamin. You don't, there's no, the supplement
I could be wrong with
industry,
the number. I think it's 60%, where most companies kind of are not fully honest, or when they get their dose tested. I think it's 60%. I remember it was a high number.
I'll have to check that number, but I do remember, I don't want to, don't fact check me on this. Fact check me on this next statement, guys, because I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure back in the early 2000s they pulled 10 protein powders off the shelves, like big names that everyone was buying, and they tested them, and they were underdosed, so they were protein spiking. They were adding amino acids, so that when they're tested through the regular testing, it just shows a nitrogen balance of this much protein. So they were getting away with throwing amino acids in these powders. And they really, instead of having 25 grams, they had 5 grams. Way underdosed. And this was a big thing. I hope that that's not as much of a thing now with protein, but with regular vitamins, there's no one monitoring that. They're not regulated by the FDA. So they can say whatever they want to say.
Yeah. It's very slim.
You heard it was 60%? Is that what you think?
I believe so. From the
that's bold. That's a bold number.
I might have. I remember I was shocked about it. So,
okay.
Yeah, could be wrong. Maybe I misread it.
I don't know though. It sounds shocking, but at the same time, there's no one regulating them.
Yeah.
Legally, nutrition labels are allowed to be 20% off. They have a 20% margin of error they're legally allowed to have. So why would they not capitalize on that?
Yeah, exactly.
If they're able to say this has 100 calories rather than 120 calories, why wouldn't they? If they want to market it as a lower calorie option, they can do that.
Yeah.
And they're totally...
And they're not getting caught at all.
They're not, no, because they're not even breaking the law.
Yeah.
And the thing is, no one's checking that anyway. So even if they were lying by a bigger margin, no one's there to there's no checks and balances there.
Slap them on the hand or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it takes independent people that pay for their own testing to call these people out and become the whistleblowers,
Yeah.
So this kind of leads into supplements and training. One of the other things I hear all the time is as a goal is toning.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I want to tone. I want to get so toned.
That's probably the most common one.
Yeah, what the hell are you, a freaking guitar?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the most common one for me that I get. Toning. When they say it, I was like, okay, all right. And then usually I say so you want to make sure you keep the muscle, and then you're trying to lose some weight, right? And
Yeah.
usually that's basically what it is.
Yeah, I always ask more questions when I say, "Oh, okay, cool." When you say toning, like, share with me, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And then you really get to see what they mean by that, because it's interesting when they're like, "Well, I want to work my arms, or I want to work my abs so that because I want to get a smaller waist,
Yeah.
and I want to get stronger in my arms, but I don't want to have huge arms. I don't want to get too big." It's like, well, if we train your arms and you're worried about them getting big, why are you not worried about your abs getting big from training
it's
your
a muscle
abs, right?
as
Yeah,
well.
it's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
So the toning thing, it's like, so you what you want to do is lose body fat and build muscle.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that. Like the whole toning, like, oh, I want this muscle to be toned. I'm sorry, your muscles don't get toned.
Yeah.
Being toned means you have a low body fat percentage. That's what being toned is.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to have toned legs.
Yeah.
Like, how do I don't want to get big. I don't want them to be big.
Not too
buff,
big.
buff. I just want to have tone. I want to get them toned.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to drop body fat.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
yeah.
And not look flimsy after they lose the weight. So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Being toned, you're gonna have a low body fat percentage, and you can't tone a muscle. You can make it bigger, you can make it stronger, you can make it more powerful, but you can't make a muscle toned.
Yeah, or you can lose it too.
Or you can lose it,
Yeah.
or you can give it away,
about
right?
that,
Just burn it
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But you can't tone a muscle. A muscle looks toned because you have no fat around it, so you
Yeah.
can see it. That's
Yeah.
all that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people, I don't want to get too buff. I don't. I just want to get my arms toned. It's like, okay, well, by toning your arms, we just need to like get body fat off you. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big one that drives me nuts. I don't know. Drop a L in the comments for people who say they want to get toned.
I wonder where they even get it. Because it's a lot of them that says it too. It's
No,
like,
well, no. So, this
maybe
used to be a thing.
before my time? Yeah.
Toning used to actually even be in certification books.
Really?
In certification books, they would say for mass,
Yeah.
6 to 12 reps. For toning, 12 to 20 reps.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, and they would even they would like be in these.
They brainwashed
It's
them.
it's crazy. It just shows you how much we learn over time and
Yeah.
how much things develop. But even things like that, like toning, anyone who knew anything about anything knew that toning meant low body fat. But they would even like act as if you trained your muscle differently to tone it. Oh, do 20 reps to tone your muscle. Like, who the hell wrote these books? I look back and I'm like, what did that mean? But then, I mean, I was like, late teens, early 20s, in the early 2000s. So, yeah, maybe I was just impressionable. We didn't have YouTube and Instagram, so it was like you read what you read out of the book, or you listened to what you got from the guy at the gym that was big.
The biggest guy in there.
Yeah, exactly. And his name was Tone. That's the only Tone I know
for short.
Yeah, they call him Tone, Big Tone.
Big Tone.
How you get those arms though?
Yeah. But just the thing. Yeah, they also say like they don't want to get too big.
Oh
It's like,
yeah. Oh god. It's like, listen, lady, I've been trying to get too big for years.
Yeah,
I haven't figured it out.
You know how many
yet.
supplements I took. You know how much extra sleep I tried to get one time.
I know.
It's like,
yeah, you're 65 years old. You're a woman.
Yeah.
You don't sleep very well, and you eat like crap. I promise you, you're not going to get.
You're
too
probably
big.
drinking wine as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Probably
I
drinking
know.
a glass of wine before you go to bed.
It's so funny when I hear that. It's like, I don't want to get too. And guys say, I don't want to be too big. It's like, listen,
Or
dude.
bulky.
Yeah,
I guess
listen,
they say
dude.
bulky.
I'm trying to get too big every day, and it's not working. So
Yeah.
I don't think you're going
Yeah, it's
to.
like, I'm eating 1,000 calories after we
Yeah,
talk.
I know. I'm
It's
eating
like-
enough. I'm eating all this food, and I'm getting enough sleep and everything.
It's
Yeah,
like I
know,
literally
it's funny.
take spoonfuls of almond butter, peanut butter.
Yeah, I know.
Before I go to bed, it's
I
like,
know.
dude, it's so hard.
Yeah, you're not gonna get too.
Yeah.
I don't even know what too big means, But
Yeah.
we have a
That's
different
another-
perspective of things.
That's
in
another
the
conversation.
body
you know?
dysmorphia world,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one other thing too. When you start your training program, and this is actually a really common question: is what's better, free weights, machines, cables? And there was a time when it was like dogma in the gym that machines were crap. Machines are for like old people. Like, if you want to build muscle, you need to use free weights. And I don't really know why we felt like that. I guess because all the big guys before and all the people who've done this before were like always talking about the main lifts. And there's some stability requirements with that. I mean, I think free weights are great, but I think free weights are probably maybe hold a little higher rank in certain things.
Yeah.
But machines are great, and I don't know why we used to hate on machines, because now I like machines. But maybe I'm an old guy now, so that's why they're for me.
I like machines.
Yeah.
Certain ones, some are not very good at all, but yeah, no,
I think
for sure.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about the what body part split is best. It's kind of the same thing lies with this. It's like, does it feel good?
Yeah.
Are you getting good tension on the muscle?
Mhm.
Are you not getting joint pain? Are you be able to progressively overload it?
Yeah.
And if you're doing that on any of those pieces, it's all going to be good.
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue that cables are superior in certain instances. Like, let's use like a chest fly.
Yeah.
When you use a dumbbell for a chest fly, you're relying on gravity.
Yeah.
And that gravity changes depending on where the weight is. When it gets up here, I have no tension on my chest because it's pushing me down.
Mm-hmm.
But a cable is going to pull me through that whole range of motion, all the way in, all the way out. I'm getting tension. So things like that, I would personally prefer to use cables for.
Yeah.
And then same thing with like triceps, like using the cable, you can get good tension the whole range rather than trying to do a kickback where your tension changes through the range. But yeah, I mean, I think barbells and dumbbells are definitely tried and true. But at the end of the day, there's nothing when you do a press, your body doesn't know, oh, I'm using a dumbbell. It just knows if there's tension on it or not. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what really matters.
Yeah. I think there's almost an art with dumbbells, because I think if you become really good and you figure out like how to really work on the muscle with a dumbbell, I think it makes you that much better with cable work.
Yeah,
because
no,
you learn with the gravity,
absolutely.
like the bottom is probably the hardest to get out of, and
I would totally agree.
And then you add that on top of like the cable or the the other machines, then I think it makes you that much better.
Yeah, because with the free weights, you generally have to like really get to know the movement. You have to get in tune with that exercise and really know how to execute it, which means you're going to get way more out of the cables or the machines later. But if you learn all your movements on a machine, then you don't really get that stability factor. Like when you're doing the dumbbells, you kind of have to stabilize them. They can go in and out. So you actually have to learn how to connect with that exercise and be focused with
present.
it. Yeah, rather than just like moving the weight from point A to point B, you're actually contracting the pec and like bringing the humerus in towards the body. Whereas when you're on a machine and you don't have that type of mind-muscle connection built in already, you kind of just push forward, and it might feel hard, but you don't really know what you're doing. But yeah, I think building that stability in the joint and that mind-muscle connection is really, actually, it's a great point that dumbbells and free weights really help you with that. So I would say a blend of everything, though. Like if you're a newcomer, get used to your body weight, learn how to use the dumbbells and the barbells, like get comfortable with those. Do just get good at those skills on those main exercises like bench, deadlift, squat, and maybe some other overhead press. Just get comfortable with those, whether they were dumbbells or barbells. And then as you start to get more and more comfortable and you have good technique, you're going to get a lot more out of the machines. But I think there's a lot of benefit to learning how to just use your body weight and then barbells and dumbbells, at least to create a base. But at the end of the day, scientifically, I don't think it really matters. But I think in long term, you're going to get way more output if you can learn good technique with the bar and with the dumbbells.
Yeah. Now, how much do they do though? What's the rep range, or how do they learn about that?
Oh well, if you want to be toning, if you're toning, it's 12 to 20. to get to tone, it's 12 to 20. No, so
back in the 1990s, what was
so that's a good question. What rep range?
What's the safe thing for it, maybe?
Anywhere between 6 and 30 reps seems to build muscle. There seems to be no difference anywhere in that rep range as long as you're approaching failure.
Close to failure?
Yeah, getting close to or at failure. And it seems to be a little easier for a lot of people to get close to failure or actually get to true failure, between 6 and 15 or 20. Once you start going a little higher, sometimes you quit because the muscle just burns. You build up so much metabolites in there and just burns so bad, and that kind of stops you from hitting failure. But I mean, it depends on the exercise. So it goes back. It depends, right?
Yeah,
it depends on what feels good on your joints, what's giving you a good pump.
Yeah.
Are you getting enough time under tension on that muscle? Maybe with squats you can do 5 or 6 because they take you quite a bit to get through the range. So your time under tensions for 6 reps could be even 20, 30 seconds. But if you do 6 reps of bicep curls, you're doing that in less than 10 seconds probably.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say that maybe play with them. Play with them yourself. Change it up over time. Get comfortable doing weight in all rep ranges. But I would say generally that you're probably safer and less likely to get injured if you're doing sets of like 10 or more. Anything under 10, just the more weight you load on your joints, the more probability for injury if you just move out of the movement the wrong way.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So yeah, anywhere between 6 and 30. Play with it. Pick a rep range that works for you, like maybe 10 to 15. Just try to get to failure.
Yeah.
Add a rep. Whatever you did, if you did 12, next time try 13. Or try 12 with like 2 pounds more. Right? Just weight, reps, try to add little bits over time, and it's really not going to matter.
Yeah, there's a funny thing actually. It was maybe Monday. There's someone actually at the gym who actually ordered 1 pound plates or like 0.25.
Oh, I saw those.
Yeah.
I saw those, and I thought those. I said, I told him too. I said those are my favorite plates in the gym.
Yeah.
Because like 0.5 plates or pound plates is like
it adds up.
It's the epitome of progressive overload.
It adds
it's
up.
Like do 10 reps with 135 pounds. Next week, do it with 137 pounds. Yeah. You're not going to feel any different with it. But after the course of 6 months, you're going to look back and be like, holy crap, I just added a lot of weight to this lift.
Yeah. It's just like the same thing with like dieting. It's just like enjoy the journey, you know?
Totally.
Just look at the destination,
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Like, look at the destination.
Yeah.
Don't look at it as you're not going to build a bunch of muscle in one
overnight.
week or over months. Oh, it's going to take months and years to really build muscle. It's going to take months to really lose weight and to lose body fat. You just do what you need to do each day and keep doing it. Yeah. Those same lifts. If you can just consistently show up and slowly add weight, if you added 2 pounds to your lift every time you lift it, you're going to make some killer progress. Yeah. So,
just kind of do the boring stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it can get boring. Just keep. It's not the exactly.
Yeah, it's not those fancy different exercises. They say do this and you get this.
Oh, I know.
Do these.
These. We'll make another video about that another day. But yeah, it's the basics go a long way. So get good at the basics. Stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
And if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments. We look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Nice. Peace.